The James Harden trade just happened. It just happened a few minutes ago, and I guess all the details are out at this point. But so Harden officially is going to Brooklyn. I don't know what happened with the Philly thing. It looked like within the hour it was heading more towards Philly because Philly it seemed like they had Ben Simmons on the table, but Daryl Morey kept saying no, he's not on the table, and I guess he finally was not on the table. So it's Brooklyn, and it's Brooklyn. Brooklyn gave up the mother lode, pretty much sacrificing the next 15 to 20 years to win a title with Durant, Kyrie, and James Harden. It's one of the, we talk about 17 Warriors as the best offensive team of all time. This team is just going to score overwhelmingly, more than every other team in the league. You have two of the five best offensive players of all time in Durant and Harden on your team. You have all the Kyrie stuff going on, all the James Harden stuff going on. That is the only thing that would stop this team from winning a championship, would be if those guys and their antics keep up. But if they don't, if they set it aside for the season, it would be an embarrassment if this team did not win the finals. The thing that stood out to me most about this trade is not anything with the Harden stuff. It's that the Cavaliers just got their center of the future for basically nothing. They basically got Jared Allen for absolutely fucking nothing. They get Jared Allen and Taurean Prince, and I'm not seeing anything that they gave up here. Houston, the Nets get Harden. The Pacers, so there was a LeVert part of this, right? There was a LeVert part of this where LeVert was also going to be in the deal to Houston, but Houston then flipped LeVert to Indiana for Victor Oladipo. So the Rockets overall are going to get Oladipo, Exum, who sucks. Karooks can do some good things. 3 first-round picks from Brooklyn, 1 from Milwaukee, all of them unprotected, and then 4 pick swaps, first-round swaps, all unprotected. So Milwaukee just got 4 picks, 4 swaps, Karooks, who can help, Oladipo, who's going to start immediately, for a guy who didn't want to be there. That's pretty fucking good. So Houston wins the trade. The Nets fuck themselves for the next 15 years, but they should win the title this year. Indiana gets LeVert in a second rounder. LeVert is, remember, Indiana was targeting Gordon Hayward in the offseason, but they couldn't get him. And LeVert's can kind of, I think, fit that role that they want as like a really good scoring wing. And they get a second rounder, which is good. And then the Cavs, I think, also or Houston gets another second rounder from somebody. And then the Cavaliers just, I guess, they just said, we need a third team in this. And the Cleveland was like, we'll do it. And they got Jared Allen, their center of the future, 22 years old, for free. They got him and Taurean Prince. So there's a lot to unpack here. First of all, Durant, I think, I mentioned this on a couple videos, but the Durant thing, I think he wanted to play LeBron and Davis in this finals with Kyrie. And I think he wanted to win this finals against LeBron in order to prove that, I have eclipsed LeBron James. I'm better than LeBron James. Now, it's almost like he's on a loaded team again. It's him, Harden, and Kyrie. So if they win the title, they should win the title. This is one of the best offensive teams we'll see. Now, in my opinion, after I'm a younger fan, after watching The Last Dance, impressed with Michael Jordan or whatever. When LeBron James and the Lakers get to the finals and they play Brooklyn in the finals, and if they can beat a healthy Durant, Kyrie, and James Harden, it's going to be time for the serious discussion. It's going to be a serious discussion if LeBron MJ, if this happens. It'll put LeBron at 5 titles, except he, arguably had a harder road. So I think there's a lot of implications with this trade. This is a huge monster blockbuster trade. It is a huge haul. And James Harden, I mean, really, who's the loser here? I kind of think it's Brooklyn. They really screwed themselves for the next 15 years. Like, oh my God, they gave away all their picks. And, wow, all those swaps. And those swaps are really going to be worth something. I just can't. This literally just broke a few minutes ago. And, wow. So, yeah, it's Shams and Woj have been tweeting and still tweeting. And Oladipo. Oh, so Oladipo's right. He's on this expiring contract. And the Rockets could kind of make him an offer, maybe get him to stay. So now you have Oladipo, Wall, Christian Wood, Boogie Cousins. You get the toxicity of James Harden out there. Now this trade comes just after James Harden basically said, we suck, we're not better, we're not as good as the Lakers. And Boogie Cousins came out and said, look, we don't want James Harden here. And Harden didn't practice today, and the deal was to be done by the end. this thing with the Nets, it was they went after Harden simply because when Kyrie's contract is up, Kyrie, who the fuck knows what Kyrie's going to do? But getting Harden here kind of gives Durant more insurance that they can keep him long term, which I understand that for them. So now they have this elite offensive team. Wow. So Harden, they're 5 now. It's going to be Harden and Kyrie, Joe Harris, Durant, and then DeAndre Jordan. So DeAndre Jordan now is a full go because the Nets, they lose all those picks. They lose Jared Allen and they lose Caris LeVert. And they don't have Dinwiddie to do an ACL tear. So they have all their next 3 best pieces are no longer on the team. So Cabarrot, I mean, all those guys are going to get a lot of minutes. But will it matter if this team scores a fuck ton of points? Like, how are they going to fill out this roster? I don't really know what's going to happen with this team. Just on paper, I mean, you look at those 3 guys. Those 3 guys are going to be tough to beat in the playoffs, and just because of how much they score. But if this thing, bombs, let's say the Nets' depth is just a problem, and like let's say Kyrie gets hurt, or Durant gets hurt, or James Harden, breaks his dick in a strip club. Like what? What do you go from here? Brooklyn, this is the second time they're doing this. They obviously didn't learn the lesson from the first time when they traded the Celtics a bunch of picks for Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and that obviously didn't work. They got the 5th seed, and they didn't get much farther after that. This is just a monumental day in the league. If you're an Eastern Conference heavyweight like Philly, and I'm glad Philly kind of sticks with what they have, but this is just an insane day in the league. So the Lakers have already been cruising, and I expect them to go to the finals. But now that I'm kind of looking at this Brooklyn roster, I mean, you have to think about something. I mean, you have to realize how elite these guys are offensively. So now, I guess if you were to pull up their depth chart, right? So if you had Kyrie and James Harden, I guess you could go Joe Harris and / Jeff Green, and Jeff Green is like rolling roulette. Durant and DeAndre Jordan, but after DeAndre Jordan, your only big man is Nick Claxton, who's a young guy and he's hurt right now. So their roster, you have Shamet, Bruce Brown, who I like, and Cabarrot, and that's all you have. Like they're not deep right now. So if this shits the fan and you're playing Cabarrot in crunch time because somebody gets hurt, and you're playing Jeff Green and he sucks, and you're playing DeAndre Jordan, who is just unplayable at this point, I just can't believe the Nets gave up 4 picks, 4 swaps, LeVert, Allen, and they had just lost Dinwiddie to injury. They gave up a lot for this. A lot. And I guess Houston looked at it like, wow, they have to give up a lot of things for this guy who doesn't even want to be here. If it had been Philly, it would have been Simmons, Maxey, and Thibault, which also would have been the motherlode. I thought that was going to be the motherlode. Look at this trade. This is unbelievable. So now, I mean, you have to think, look, I know they don't have depth, but it's James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving. And COVID protocols the Nets might still keep losing games if Kyrie's not there. But I don't know, man. This is a really good offensive team, and they really just screwed themselves for 15 years. I don't know what Brooklyn's doing. They could have made the finals without James Harden with the team that they had now. They could have won the finals. And now they just got rid of all their depth and substituted it for James Harden, who is a little overweight and a little insane. I don't know. I'll still have Brooklyn in the finals, but I just want to say that the finals implications now are huge. Durant trying to eclipse LeBron, even though he's playing with 2 super duper stars, and LeBron. It's time to start having the LeBron MJ, the serious conversation. For those of us, there's so many young people who didn't watch Michael Jordan and who are just claiming LeBron is the best, and people who didn't watch The Last Dance and everything. Like, I learned a lot from The Last Dance, and if this happens, LeBron, that conversation, and LeBron beats Durant, Kyrie, and Harden, that conversation needs to be really in the books and needs to start happening because it would be real. And yeah, so this is a blockbuster trade. I'm sure there's more that's going to be coming out soon. I think Woj and Shams have been tweeting like crazy for the past hour, and it's finally ceased. I think Woj got it first. It's been kind of a heavyweight battle between those 2 guys recently, but I think Woj got it first. So, wow. Yeah, just massive implications here. And we'll see what happens. But for now, I think I'd still put Brooklyn in the finals just because that's going to be a generationally good offensive team. I mean, seriously, but they really screwed their future. I mean, 10 to 15 years, like for the next 10 to 15 years, Brooklyn is absolutely fucked. absolutely fucked. And that gives me hope because, Celtics, Tatum, and Brown are coming around, whatever. But they had to give Harden up. They gave him to Brooklyn. I mean, and Houston just got the mother load. Everyone pretty much won this trade except for Brooklyn. So Brooklyn is going to have 3, roster spots available. So now they're going to have to fill those. But they got the Dinwiddie exception, right? I think it's like $5.7 million. I have one Nets fan, Abdullah, is texting me. He's going crazy right now. He knows they're screwed for the next 10, 15 years. I do think one of the winners of this trade is Cleveland because they just got Jared Allen, the center of the future. He's 22 years old for fucking nothing. And you can, throw Drummond wherever you want him and get something better. So big win for Cleveland, big win for everybody except Brooklyn. If Brooklyn doesn't win the title this year, wow. I mean, part 2 of Brooklyn fucking themselves over for old stars that, this is, James Harden compared to Pierce and Garnett. Remember at the time, Pierce and Garnett could barely even move anymore. At least Harden is still quasi in his prime. But this is going to be something to watch. I cannot wait to see this. We need a Nets-Lakers finals. If the Nets get there, depending on who they fill their roster with, we'll have to see. But for now, the offensive talent on the Nets is ridiculous. Their defense is not ridiculous. And we'll see what happens. But crazy day. More coming. I'll probably make another video when everything is finalized, the roster spots are filled, and do a little more of that. But for now, that's what we're looking at.